Yes, hello everybody. Welcome to Full Course Yellow once again. This is our weekly sort of get together, and it's Bathurst weekend. Yes, it is Bathurst 1000 this weekend. If you've been watching all day today and all day yesterday, it's been an interesting couple of days on the mountain. So we're going to talk about that, of course. Give a preview. Also coming up, the return of Formula One this weekend, and over in South Australia at the Bend, the Australian Superbike Championship with Jack Miller coming back and having a spin around the Bend. Was talking to the media today and saying how when he saw what the date was, he sort of got it into his mind. Hey, I can do that. So let's buy a bike. I mean, wouldn't it be lovely to do that? Yeah, let's buy a bike and go over and go racing at a whim. But I suppose when you're a MotoGP star, you can do that sort of thing. To talk about all things Bathurst and all other things, we've got most of the crew here. Mr. Stillwell not with us tonight. He is, of course, up running Bathurst. Bathurst would not be happening this weekend without him. So he's up there at the moment doing whatever it is to do to keep the wheels oiled and the cogs rolling and all the rest of it. But we do have the rest of the team here. We've got Stuart and Peter and Doc and Chris and Richard. So we will find out what they're all been up to. And guys, welcome to Full Course Yellow.
Brett, good evening.
Evening.
Mr. Ramsay.
Yes, now we've got the roll call as well. Tony joining us as well. Good evening, Tony. Nice to hear from you again. Once again, box. Start of a huge weekend sitting in front of the tube. Yes, it's going to be quite ridiculous because we've got Bathurst. We have, as I said, the Superbikes are on SBS, so they'll be on. You can watch them live on free-to-air television as well. And of course, we've got the race of the Grand Prix as well. So no shortage of stuff to watch. Virtual are with us once again. Evening, Roy. Once again, second race meeting in a row. We turn up year after year, month after month with all of our cameras and all of our equipment. Nothing particularly exciting ever happens. Roy's turned up twice and got two really big crashes. So Roy's as a service to the motorsport community, just let people know where you're standing next time, so they can be extra careful when they go around the corner. But yes, we've got some footage. We've got a big Formula V crash. Thankfully, no injuries, unlike the Mustang crash with Andy Clemson at Sandown. But Roy's got some footage, which we will which we'll also put into some of our reports. We've already put up the stuff from the Phillip Island 50k, the sports sedans. That's on our YouTube channel at the moment if you haven't seen it yet. But also coming up, we've got improved production, 944s and Formula Ford as well. They were the categories I managed to get hold of before the batteries ran out. Okay, who else have we got joining us once again? Dave Howard is joining us.
Evening, Dave.
There we go. Dave, Andrew saying happy Bathurst week, everybody. Yes, happy Bathurst week to everybody.
To you too, Andrew.
What does somebody give to a person to celebrate a Bathurst?
We might talk on that. We might
visitors beer.
Yeah, we might put that out to the people. Why is this not on Channel 31? We're taking a break from 31 for the moment. We've been on 2 years without a break at the moment. Ooh. So we're taking a bit of a break. But if all goes according to plan, providing we can get back in the studio at RMIT, and of course, with everything that's happening at the moment, there's no guarantee of that right now. But if everything goes according to plan and things get back to some degree of normality, hopefully we'll be back in the studio for late February, early March, just in time for things like the return of the Australian Grand Prix, Phillip Island Historic, and all the other stuff that's happening.
But just to sum up, put a little bow on the end of it. Back to regular programming, 26 weeks a year. So it's been a tumultuous 2 years for everyone. So Brett's trying to organise. Brett's putting together a normal year next year, aren't?
Well, if I last that long. So, Michael, there you go, Michael. There's the biggest television weekend for Australian motorsport fans. Yes,
it is.
It's our
I think the Melbourne Cup's the only one that gets more people looking at the idiot box in one little session, except Bathurst is a bigger session. So,
I wouldn't walk across the road for the Melbourne Cup. Wrong side of horsepower for me.
Yeah.
And having a look at some of the other comments, I think, yep, it's a slab of beer. So what we need is a campaign now to raise funds for a charity of getting me a drive in a fast car, where it's like you celebrate Happy Bathurst with like a logo of Happy Bathurst on a slab of beer, and the spoils go to me because
maybe there's Nathan Long. I was going to say, and CUB. Your breweries, maybe it's a good idea you could pitch to them, Stuart, and get a special commemorative beer with logo, something to do with Bathurst on it.
I don't know.
Face on it, and it's not going to be my face. It'll have to be Stillwell's.
I'm not saying anyone's face. I'm just saying you say Happy Bathurst. See, if you put that on the thing, I mean, there's plenty of distilleries and beers that have sponsored cars in the past. If they were to do a limited production of a particular any sort of beverage that has an alcoholic kind, Happy Bathurst.
We had many years ago in at RMI TV for some reason, and it was this was probably the best part of 18 years ago now, but for some reason the major brewery, we won't mention their name, but the major brewery here in not just in Melbourne but in Australia, decided to
CUB.
Let's not. Don't give them any.
I was just saying a suburb of Abbotsford.
A suburb of Melbourne. Let's leave it at that. For some reason, they decided to try and encourage students to consume more alcohol, and as a result, they donated
encouragement.
Well, it does nowadays, but they donated. Well, this is how things have changed. They donated a pallet of slabs of one of their well-known products, and 6 months down the track, most of the pallet was still there, and in the end, Simon Thomas, myself, Steve Clark, a few others on the program, they sort of came to us and said, once again stereotyping us, just sort of, you car racing people, you're into you seem to like a drink for some reason, so we got to get rid of this stuff. So do you want it? So we took out boxes and boxes and boxes. I don't drink beer, but my dad was alive at that. So he definitely did drink beer, and he was a very happy man when I walked in with about half a dozen slabs in the back of the car. So
just saying, there's a few of us have got utes around the room here. We're happy to load any of that sort of liqueur up if they need it in the future.
I'm just trying to imagine Brett's old laser with like more than a slab and it not dragging on the ground at the back.
Yeah, end. It probably would have been the laser. It would have been the laser. Yeah, it would have been the laser back.
Yeah. Anyway, but speaking of the stuff that follows up the motorsport, Mr. Morris down below there has made a big. Some of the competitors have made some big statements in some open wheelers.
Yeah, yes. We talked last week on the show that about the S5000s and and I knew that they were very concerned about them dipping under the 2-minute mark. Now they have taken out some power, considerable power, but nonetheless they're still lapping under. So if they had the extra 85, 90 horsepower that they've taken out of the damn things, they'd be even quicker. But at the moment, both in the race today and in qualifying yesterday, the fastest cars did dip under the 2-minute mark. So I imagine that Motorsport Australia will be looking at the situation perhaps overnight again with raised eyebrows and going, do we really want them to be this quick?
Unleash them.
I'm sure Brett has, and I definitely.
Let's see what they can do.
I went into detail about the interview with Gary Rogers, and as Brett probably saw the article about it went into depth about how long this had been on the cards for a few months, and they sort of knew the writing was on the wall, but they didn't. It wasn't confirmed until the start of the week that Supercars put their foot down and says, right, you're taking power off, and this is they'd sort of done a few testings and a few ideas on how much should go and whether there was maybe adding weight to the car as well too was a consideration So
well, there is a formula. I mean, there is an established FAA formula. Now, the interesting thing is going to be now is as a result of this formula and as a result of the changes they've made, will this be a temporary thing? Are they going to continue like with this reduced power for in the future? Because obviously they're still going fast. I don't care that I don't care that they're slowed down. I think it's a good idea, but providing they remain the fastest cars in Australia and on circuit, because if you get to the stage where sort of S5000s are going out as our premier open wheeler category and they're lapping slower than the supercars or slower than a sports sedan or something like that, then that really defeats the purpose altogether. So I would, as long as they're going sort of substantially faster than anything else, and they are. So keep going.
The tub and the halo were put in for these particular safety reasons, so that they could reach these particular speeds and be safe. And if things happen to occur, not saying that they're going to deliberately put themselves in another car or a wall. So all these safety precautions were put in place. The latest gear in the cockpit, the whole lot, the design, the whole work. So they're designed to go at incredible speeds anyway. To be restricting them per horsepower, tuning them down, as Gary Rogers said,
it's the wrong method.
Why have these safety precautions that are state-of-the-art FIA in the world?
Well, at the same time,
they shouldn't be restricting horsepower. They shouldn't be adding weight. If they want to slow them down, slow down their top speed on a long straight like.
That's basically
put some aero stuff on them.
But that's basically what they've done.
So they're still racing like open wheelers, not cut the power.
No, what they've done. I mean, the thing is with nowadays.
Are going to be slower.
What they've done, and the thing that they can do nowadays with modern ECUs, is that they've taken away the top end, but they've still got them on, so they're still accelerating hard out of the corners. They're still going just as quick, sort of up the hill and over the top. Where they are taking some speed off is on Conrod, because they were worried about the speeds they were doing. Because
if they were doing it with aero instead of power, they would actually create a situation where the cars could pass more. And
they can't. Racing. They've already got a lot of air. They've got a lot of They don't want to put too much downforce on them. I mean, that was one of the reasons they've been designed like they have been. They wanted to de-emphasise the aero as much as possible so that they could have good racing. I think we saw we saw today in the battle for second. And the racing is pretty good, and in qualifying, I mean, the first 8 cars or something were separated by well less than a second. So I think the formula is pretty good at the moment. We'll see how it goes over the weekend, but the worrying thing is they're losing a few cars here and there to there's only about 10 left at the moment, and interesting to see. Hopefully, it looks like Tim Macro will be back tomorrow. Not sure about the situation with Lewis Leeds yet. Didn't look like too bad a damage, so hopefully he'll be back tomorrow. But I think this is going to be the thing. This is obviously it's things are pretty chaotic because of the way things are at the moment, but we won't know whether this is a success or not until they get in there and. We see what happens sort of next year as how many of the drivers stay. Because if you have a look back at when they debuted, there's quite a few of those young drivers, people like Cooper Webster and a few of those younger drivers that were there who aren't there any. Ricky Capo, a friend of the show, a few people who were in S5000s who you'd think would be up at Bathurst if they could be and aren't there because they just basically can't afford it, and that's why they brought in people like Merry and Moto and all those. Well,
I know that some of them can't afford it like that, but a shoe doesn't fit for everyone as well, though, too. So I mean, some people have aspirations in other ways and different pathways of what they're racing and what they don't want to race as well, too. So I mean, it'll sort itself out. If there's a high turnover still in another couple of years' time, still a big turnover, then you maybe have to look at the cost of it then to a certain extent. The other, well on to Aaron Cameron, who's also a friend of the show. He's been on with us as well too a couple of years ago, and he put it in up on the top step.
I think that's the really exciting thing we've seen so far. We saw James Golding just jump out of touring cars, hadn't been in open wheelers for years, picked it up straight away, was dueling it out with Rubens Barrichello at Sandown, did really, really well. I mean, we knew people like Macro and Lawson and all of those people were all going to be quick because they've come direct out of mostly open wheelers or recent open wheeler experience, but for somebody like Cameron, who's basically been racing in TCR, front wheel drive, 300 horsepower things, and then to jump into something like this and be, not just competitive, but to take pole position and be really challenging, that's great stuff. But that's going to be the thing, as Kristen is saying. Hi, Kristen. Thanks for joining us. As Kristen's saying there, how about we try and get juniors in a car? That's going to be the thing. They've got to really look at the next generation, and they've got to get young talent into
somehow sponsor
the
a drive.
Yeah, and then back them and keep backing them. I mean, so it would be really good if some of the supercar teams, instead of perhaps putting their money into recycling old Super 2 cars and all the rest of it, perhaps put a bit of money into the S5000 and put some of the young kids into there.
As Kristen's saying, okay, if we try and get a junior in a car, would it be just straight out of karts into one of these? And are these adequate? Are these a good enough learning tool that they can get something out of before they head over to Europe, before they start racing Formula 3, Formula 2, or even the subcategories that surround that sort of paddock? So are they worth putting these kids into these cars, or that's what it's thought, or are they to be just a premier open wheeler, fast things, big engines, right sound going around here in Australia to create the atmosphere?
Well, I think that's one of the things that they set it up, that Chris Lambden and now Gary and Barry Rogers have set it up for, is that they've set them up so that they're not monsters. They are sort of not easy to drive, but they're not monsters to drive, because at the moment we've got Formula 4. The interesting thing is I spoke with Mike Borland out at very briefly at Phillip Island on Sunday about what they're planning for Formula Ford, and at the moment it all seems to be a little bit in limbo at the moment, because you've got two very different groups involved in sort of this. You've got the Roland Dane side, who was saying that yes, well, it should be a one-make series with very tightly controlled chassis, tightly controlled engine, and basically tightly controlled by 888 Racing. They should build the cars and all the rest of it. Then of course you've got people like Mike who were saying, by all means, let's come up with some new regulations, but let's open it up to competition, so we can have Spectrum and other if Roland Dane, if 888 want to make their own open wheeler, or if Gary Rogers wants to make an open wheeler or modify something from overseas, let everybody come in and have a bit of competition between chassis. Don't just sort of lock it down, because that's where then you've got another monopoly, and then it becomes like Formula 4 again, and Formula 4 was a miserable failure.
What makes it more interesting is diversification and development.
Yeah, that's it. But anyway, it was great to see them. So they've got some more races to come, but it was good to see them there. And there's been a couple of crashes, but thankfully nothing too seriously. No one's serious. Nobody's been injured, and they've done pretty well. They were certainly spectacular to watch. I really enjoyed watching them today. So
while we're name dropping, well done, without going into details about the stuff, unless everyone wants to elaborate or expand. Well done to Thomas Randall. That Castrol car looks really good. Well done, that pony.
Yeah, well, that's that was announced this morning, was it? I think it was this morning, because I got the news yesterday, but it was on an embargo, of course, so I couldn't run it. So I think it was this morning they unveiled it. So yeah, very similar basically to the old Castrol colours that the Kelly brothers, Rick Kelly ran for a while,
and Mr. Perkins.
There, so good to see Castrol still around. Good to see BP backing them again, and once again Tom doing well. We've got the top 10 rolling round at the moment. This is from practice today. This is the combined top 10 of both sessions. Waters on at the moment fastest. Mostert and Holdsworth looking really, really quick at the moment.
Holdsworth had a late bite, didn't he?
Yeah, he went very, very well, and they've shown that they're going to be.
No, I had late accident, didn't he? I think Holdsworth had a late. I'll have to look that up.
No, I don't think so.
No,
Okay.
I didn't think. No, I didn't think so. No, Chris Pisser put. They had a terrible day. The Brad Jones racing team, Macaulay Jones, who was also a recent guest
Yeah.
on the program. They had a big mechanical failure in the first session. Got all that repaired and sent Chris Pisser out in the co-driver section and ended up he just clipped the wall and on one side and went in and sort of did a bit of damage there. So. Probably not enough to put them out or to make any danger for them making the race, but certainly enough.
My brother was having a chat to Chris, I think last week when he was up in country Victoria doing some work with him, and Chris has still got Coke behind him next year in whatever capacity he's up to. So best of luck to Mr. Pither. He still wants to have a chat with us and come on the show soon, he's hoping. Aspirations are still high. Coke's definitely with him one more year next year. So good luck, Chris.
Yeah, so that was good. Good big weekend for Chaz Mostert, as we see down the bottom, as well as his performances in the so-called main race. He's also wrapped up the TCR Championship as well, which was really lucky because at one stage he wasn't going to race in the last round. He thought he'd be very busy, but they supercars and I think as a result of everybody getting together, they sort of worked the schedule well so that people like Chaz and others who wanted to race in both in things like the TCR and also the Australian GT Championship, that they could actually they could do both. So Chaz's race in the first round was enough to wrap up the title.
I think
as well.
So I didn't hear anything you said the last minute, Brett. You said something about Chaz has had a big weekend. I assume you're talking about his haircut, his mohawk.
Well, it is
okay. Oh, you mean racing? Racing. Oh, I thought so. That's what I said. I just completely forgot. I didn't hear what you said. Maybe Stuart could bring up a still for us, a screenshot of Chaz Mostert when I saw him on the news tonight, and I didn't even have the sound on at the time. I went, gee, that's a fair effort. I'll pay that. I'll pay where that's straight out of the 80s Billy Idol style.
It is Bathurst. He's going to. I imagine for the reality TV show, it's probably going to help too. Pete, you were watching it all today. What are your takeaways from today? What have we learnt, if anything?
I think I still think, and I thought before today's proceedings, I still think Anton De Pasquale is going to win it. I think they're going to win it. I just have a feeling.
Well, he's certainly in good form at the moment. They haven't set the timing sheets on fire yet, but I mean, this is only the first day of practice, of course. I mean, we'll know. We get qualifying tomorrow afternoon, then that'll set up for the top 10 as well. So the top 10 is where that's when they're really going to try. So we'll see people playing their hands. Then I mean, today was just a matter of everybody sort of getting back into the scream thing again. Yeah, Stuart's found it. Unfortunately, I mean, Chaz is he's covering everything up there, so we can't see
an older photo.
Yeah, it's an older photo, so we can't see
if I can find something.
But you'll see plenty of him. You'll see plenty of him over the weekend, I'm sure, with his mohawk. So good luck to him.
Just while you've got Brett up on the screen there, Stuart, did you do Brett's lower third, captioned the old Valiant? Did you do Brett's lower third? It says the old Valiant on it up there. Can I borrow
no, variant.
Oh, sorry, I should have gone the Specsavers.
Yes, definitely. There, so yes, congratulations.
You see, it would be what's the word? When you've got double negatives or something. There's no such thing as a new Valiant.
No, there's not.
So true. Yeah.
That's it. So, but anyway, so that was today. So yeah, so interesting that. Also, congratulations to Tim Schenken, who was announced today his retirement from the Chief Race Control in supercars. Tim, of course, very, very experienced and will be still hanging around the sport, but is give it away as the regular man in charge in race control at Supercars Australia, and so they're hopefully going to make an announcement on somebody to replace Tim in the next couple of days. So I assume because this didn't come as a surprise to anybody. So I think that they will. I think they've obviously got people in mind to take over. I'm not sure. Unfortunately, Dave isn't. Dave can do it. Dave is up at Bathurst, which is why he's not with us at the moment. But Dave would probably have the inside running as to who some of those names are, but we'll find out.
I can stab someone in the back to get the job.
I've read
some big knives around those stewards' rooms. Very, very huge knives. They're just laying around the place in those stewards' rooms, just for the taking. But good luck to Tim. Hopefully he still keeps involved in motorsport some way. He's a great guy. He's done a lot for the sport in general and over the years, and best of luck. And please, Tim, if you step away, don't do it too long. And good to see you around the traps again.
He's a good bloke. He's been on the show a couple of times over the years, and has always been a very good guest, and always a good bloke to talk to. Pete,
I've read today that somebody called James Taylor is taking over from him, who was the guy that when Tim Schenken was restricted by borders in one of the lockdowns, he was this James Taylor was the guy that did the officiating for him.
Yeah, that would certainly make sense. So
didn't he write a motor racing song called Fire and Rain?
Fire and Rain, yeah. that'd be the thing. You get called up to race control. Well, you wanted to see me, sir? Look, just yesterday morning they let me know.
Well done. 10 out of 10 on that one.
You're supposed to bring your guitar with you. We need music.
But anyway, that's So well, good luck to James Taylor if he is the person.
Hope you go to number 1 on the charts.
Yes, there you go. Nathan Hearn, congratulations. Another championship wrapped up. Nathan Hearn took out the Australian Trans Am series once again. And those cars looked and sounded really great at Bathurst too. I think that some people in the supercars would be looking at those cars and going, "Oh, gee, do we really need to be as high tech and expensive as we are?" Because there's nothing wrong with those Trans Am cars running around the mountain. They look pretty damn good and they sound good too. So, and you've got your Mustang, you've got your Commodore, and you've got a Dodge as well. So there you go.
And someone forgot to tell Richie to my right on screen that it's now the 2nd of December and it's summer. And
after the weather of the last 2 days.
Well,
not in Antarctica.
And Mr. Ritchie, is that what times does that snow track go around Mount Panorama you've got there behind you?
What time? Oh, about 4 hours and 10 minutes.
It takes. Oh, that's right. That's pretty quick. You maybe supercharge it and see if it can get a couple of seconds off it.
It might need to be used on Sunday.
There has been odd times. Snow has been at odd times over the past 2 years at Mount Panorama.
They have had. Somebody did point out that they actually had. It was a couple of years ago. Someone pointed out that they had snow on Christmas Day at Mount Panorama. So that's terrifying. So it's not forecast to happen, but it could happen. We keep our fingers crossed.
If I go into my, you know how you got your weather app and you got it's set for certain places. Because I was at Bathurst for the 12-hour last year at the start of 2020. I think I've still got Bathurst saved in, and Richard, you could probably the same. Have you got Bathurst saved in your? Let's have a look at the forecast. Well, here, official forecast version for Bathurst. I've got Philip Owen. Oh, here we go. My best Jane Bunn. So I just got to get something tighter on here. A bit more skimpy.
You got the hips for it.
To show a bit more flesh. Anyway, Bathurst for Friday, thunderstorms, but at only still a top of 28 tomorrow. Saturday, still more thunderstorms, so top of 25, And for the big dance, wait for it. Sorry, just got to get my little clicker. Wait to get the right screen behind me. Sunday, partly cloudy with rays of sun. Top of only 19 on Sunday.
It'll be a fast race. 19,
right in front of you. There you go.
As long as it doesn't rain, they'll be very happy with that forecast for Sunday. 19 is a very good thing. Hopefully, it won't rain as much as it did for you, Richard. I mean,
but only one dry run. Yeah.
So how long were you up there for? You up for Challenge Bathurst? It was 4 days, was it?
No, just the Saturday and the Sunday. The GT cars are on the Thursday and Friday. I was just dialed in, and the rain came again.
What's your choice of wets, Richard?
We're stuck with the one set of tyres. That's the Federal.
What brand?
Federal.
And how many sets did you go through?
Two. Just keep chopping. They don't wear out, but still keep changing them.
Okay, Yep. And how much did it reduce your lap times? Just as a ballpark figure.
Killed it. I could have done it with a sundial, except the sun wasn't out.
Slow. Okay, yeah.
But
there wasn't a concertina effect at the start of Conrod Straight with everyone just powering into each other.
I didn't dive for a hole and run over someone.
Andrew was asking the question about where did all the Formula 4 cars go. The ones that weren't sold, most of them are living up at Sydney Motorsport Park at the moment and will be used for a junior driver development program in conjunction with the Ferrari Driving Academy, I believe. So that's the plans for the. That's the plans for those cars, and I'm not sure how that's going to work, but I imagine there's going to be money changing hands somewhere. There'll probably be a couple of scholarships or something. Haven't heard too much. You hear sort of all these things about what they're going to do for young drivers. The point is, it doesn't really matter what they do for them in the early stages. It's like you see the situation at the moment where you've got so many people who go overseas, and Lewis Leeds, who was racing today, there is a case in point. Went overseas, was racing competitively in there, and then just the money ran out, and it was just back to Australia and basically start again. So, and if there's no point going over just for 1 year, they've got to get behind. They've got to pick a winner, and they've got to say, right, we're with you. We're going to push you through at least until you get to Formula 2. If they pick one person, even if it's one person every couple of years, give them a scholarship, make it say the Jack Brabham scholarship or something like that, and say raise some money. This is what they do in New Zealand with the gill trap thing. They take a driver and they say, right, we're going to send you overseas, and you're going to stay. You don't have to worry about money you just keep, as long as you keep progressing through you don't worry about the money, you let us worry about the money. So, and off you go. And that's why they're finding all this great talent.
Yep.
I was just going to say, are you sure those Formula 4s aren't going to end up under the Thunderdome?
Yeah, with all of Bob's one make series. I don't know. I'm still wondering. I'd love to know what happened. There were the Mazda MX-5s that he supposedly had. There were the Monaros that he had. And Bob told me himself that he'd bought all those Monaros. He said he had 50 of them from Hertz because there was an auction, and he said that he'd bought the lot of them. I believe the MX-5s were being built. The people from Kangan TAFE was supposedly going to build up the MX-5s for a one-make series at Calder Park. So, there's all sorts of rumours about where all those cars may or may not have ended up, and some of those rumours are that they're in shipping containers somewhere buried under the Thunderdome somewhere.
All the other rumours that are in all the other shipping containers that are buried under there somewhere as well.
I did tell you that story, didn't I, Brad?
Yeah.
About
maybe just half a step back then. You said Jack Brabham championship. Alan Jones wouldn't be too happy about it being called that. Where's my naming rights and
he's
where's
not
my
dead yet.
championship?
Yeah, well, one is not dead yet. Although that's a big that's a big call. The way he used to get around, I've heard all sorts of stories about AJ's legendary performances up on the Gold Coast back in the day. But I think like me, he's calmed down. He's calmed down a lot.
or he's pickled that. David Boone's still alive, and he still holds the record for intercontinental travel in the airlines with the amount of stuff that you can drink. He's still got the record.
Actually, to be brutally honest, if I ever went to there, because I've looked at that record is no big deal. I'm just saying.
How bloated would you be? Remember, this is beer.
Beer. I couldn't do it with beer.
Yeah, Booney's got the beer record. That's a fair amount you've got to consume and keep in your body until your extremities get rid of it.
Bacardi and Cokes or cognac. I think God
that would be hard to do.
How many cognacs over the years going to Paris was there? We
all this talk of alcohol. It's going to drive a person to drink. I'm going to get one.
Between you and me, Doc seems to have a bit of a problem.
This is YouTube, but do we have limits on what we can drink? Because the glass does get frosty if you pour the right thing into it. But I'm just getting it.
There, as long as we're not promoting anything, but I'll leave
it clear. It's transparent.
The
glass gets frosty from the cold.
What you drink is up to you. Okay, let's talk about Formula One. Coming back to this, let's talk about Formula One this week. Bathurst not the only thing, of course, happening. We'll get onto everybody's Bathurst tips. We know what Pete's is at the moment. But let's get back onto Formula One happening this weekend. It looks like it's happening. Pete, what do we know? Helmut Marko's already come out and said there will be no new super duper powerful engine for Max Verstappen. They're not going to make any radical changes. They're just going to stick with what they've got, and they believe they can still that Max can hold on. So, what do we know about what's happening this weekend and the circuit that we're going to go to?
Well, it's fairly quiet. From what I've seen, it's fairly quiet. But yeah, I don't think they've. Red Bull's got much up their sleeve, so I don't think they can have a super duper engine for Max. I think, judging by previous radio messages from Lewis Hamilton, I wonder whether he just wants to get the 8th World Championship out of the way, and he might. I'll probably get laughed off the broadcast, but I wonder whether he might do a Nico Rosberg if he gets it. I know he's got a contract for next year at least, but if he gets it, I wonder if he'll suddenly retire, or he might be okay with acting as more of a mentor role for George Russell next year.
Well, he has already said that. He has come out today and said that that he would like to hang around, and he would certainly like to be an encouragement and act as a mentor for George. He said, basically said, I've had a really good run, and obviously I still want to win again this year. But he said that he would certainly like to promote to help George in his quest. So so that would be if he could stay around for a year or two and basically play mentor and second fiddle to George and push George through to a championship, because he's got 8 of the bloody things. So I think he can probably. I think he can probably be satisfied with that.
I think he really wants that 8th championship, and then he'll be satisfied. Judging by the messages, thanking Valtteri for letting him through, and always constantly asking, "Where's Valtteri? Where's Valtteri?" And
Yeah, that was funny. Valtteri has come out incidentally in the last couple of days and pointed out the fact that he nearly gave Formula One away. It all got to the pressure of it, and the fact that he wasn't sort of getting to where he wanted to get to, and playing second fiddle all the time was really getting to him. And he was sort of saying that he was he was really struggling to keep going and to stay motivated. So, but he said he's very excited now that he knows where he's going for next year. He's actually very motivated and very excited, and so it'll be interesting to see what we see out of Valtteri. Valtteri next week. Yes, as Box is saying, we should say a moment for the passing of Frank Williams. An amazing story. I mean, if you've seen the documentary on Frank and Williams, which was on Netflix for a long time, I think it's still there. Just a remarkable story. Also, have a look at Peter Windsor's YouTube channel. Peter was in the car with Frank when he had his crash, and just the way he explained that, as Frank said, lay there, he knew that he was in a bad way, and he thought he probably wouldn't, may not last, and just the very focused way that he just said, okay, here's what I want to happen with the team, and this is what you've got to do for the, So it was, he was a real fighter, and obviously the Australian connection. I know that in the interviews we've done with Alan Jones, he speaks very, very highly. Alan would be very, very sad at the moment with the situation. But when you consider the severity of that crash and the severity of his injuries, he had a pretty good run, and he did very well because he was very hands-on with that team right up until in comparatively recent times. So they were remarkably successful for a long time.
I was going to say probably mentoring his daughter for a long time, and still having a hands-on approach to ensure her success as well too.
Yes, so as also Andrew pointed out, Oscar Piastri back racing again. This is also young Jack Doohan racing in Formula. He's got a call up, and he's going to be racing as well, I believe. So so that'll be something else to watch on the weekend to see if Oscar can wrap up that Formula 2 championship. Interesting today, Oscar came out and said that he basically knew from about the halfway point of the year that he wasn't going to be in Formula 1 next year. He basically knew that the weight of money would see one Zhao go through, and he's just very happy that he's got the position that he's got, and there. So he's got a very his head's on the right way, and obviously he's got the support of Mark Webber behind him, who's got his head screwed on as well. So yeah, good luck to Oscar on the weekend. Would be fantastic if he could come up and. If he could come up and win it, it'd be interesting to see what Jack Doohan does as well in his first Formula 2 race on a new track. So what else have we got there? Michael pointing out the Mazda Miata series in the United States. If you want to see some incredible racing, go to the IMSA YouTube channel. If there's not enough motorsport on live this weekend, but if over the break, if you're not into cricket or whatever and you want to see some amazing motor racing, some of the rounds of the Mazda Miata series, particularly the race from Daytona earlier in the insane, just amazing racing, great racing over there. So I don't think they were Bob's cars that ended up there. I think I think Mazda have made them happen, but the fabulous race series over there, very popular. They do race them up in New South Wales as well. Stewart's bringing that up now, sort of the IMSA official stuff. So it's under there. They've got lots of great racing on the IMSA official YouTube channel. So if you want to watch any of the races there it is. The Mazda MX-5 Cup from Michelin Raceway. That's one of the rounds. You got the Carrera Cup. Yeah, you got heaps of stuff. You got months and months of racing to watch there if you haven't caught up with it already. And it's all good stuff. Okay, let's coming up, Doc, this weekend out at the Bend in South Australia. We've got the Australian Superbike Championship. A fella called Miller is racing.
I think he's Thriller. I think he's I don't know, some guy that's hanging up his MotoGP boots for the year and putting on his Santa Claus ones instead, and a little hat with a pom pom on it. Oh, he rides a red bike anyway. It goes fast like Santa's sleigh. Yeah, Jack Miller, good stuff. He's decided to come home this year for the break, and I reckon he'll just off a little bit off the topic. I reckon he'll be better for it. I think he'll go back into MotoGP next year with a lot fresher and maybe a slightly different perspective. I hope, because they had that little break during the year this year, and he came out all guns blazing, and that's when he won his first race after the break, and then had more consistent results after that too. And it looked a little bit more consistent. He just was struggling with the harder tyres towards the end of the season when he was pushing it too hard and didn't want to burn it up, or he just couldn't make them wear better. So going back to Wowzers, Jack Miller Racing, I put up a post for the guys on our In Pit Lane private group today. He's got a beautifully turned out black Ducati. I saw a crate with Ducati written on the side of it and a brown box that was delivered to the Bend during the week a few days ago. So it preceded him to the event, and that little track over there, about just over an hour outside Adelaide, and he's got some stiff competition. So he let a little bit more loose today on what the reason he came back to Australia before he participated. So it's been a few months in the making, like I said on Full Course Yellow a couple of weeks ago, but it comes down to whether Ducati let him, whether the FIM regulations let him as well too. So he can't ride to a high spec bike with too many modifications, otherwise it's considered testing. So that Ducati is basically stock standard with maybe some better pads and maybe the suspension changed to suit his bum on the back seat a little better, and maybe slightly better front forks or something like that. It's pretty much standard because he can't ride anything otherwise. He gets a big slap on the wrist. He won't be able to ride MotoGP next year. So his great mate is Josh Hook. Josh, he and Jack have been putting this package together for a couple of months and making it happen. And he said Josh has been overseas and been doing following around in the paddock and helping him out there. And so he said it's going to be really good just to jump on board the back of a bike and race with Josh and a couple of the other guys at the Australian Superbike round at the Bend this weekend and have some fun and go out there. He said, look, I'm going out there just to enjoy myself and give back to the sport and ride with some mates. And he said, but that doesn't mean I won't be trying. So he'll have a crack as well too. And well, it doesn't really matter.
I don't believe for a second he won't be trying. He might be running, and I reckon there'll be a few of some of the things in that box that turned up there might make it just. He's been very, very careful to say this is a road bike. This is a hotted up road bike. It's but we also sort of we sort of know that there's probably been a few little gifts from the factory somewhere along the way.
Santa's little sock will have a few bits and pieces that'll still be legal for him. But yeah, the other thing is though too, he's not going to have a whole sleigh full of spare parts coming down the chimney either. So he probably needs to be careful he doesn't bin it in the first practice or something like that. He needs to make it last the weekend, because that'd be pretty disappointing if you went on a Saturday, and crash it, and he didn't race it on the Sunday. So, I mean, I'm sure the other guys would throw him a few panels or a bit of carbon fibre if he needed as well too. But yeah, so yeah, it's good fun. So I'm sure the crowd will be more than double at the Bend this weekend just to check out Jack Miller. That's in the vicinity of Adelaide.
They're certainly promoting it. It's been on KO during the Bathurst telecast, and right throughout the week there's been lots and lots of promotion for it. So, and you imagine that it would be the same in South Australia. So you would think that they're hoping, despite the fact that it's up against Bathurst, they would be hoping that they're going to get they'll get a good crowd there.
Maxwell's been around for 20 years. It feels like it anyway, maybe 50. Bayliss is renowned in the sports as well too. There's a few guys that are getting out a bike just for fun and having a track. So, look, as you said, they'll be playing for sheep stations to a certain extent, but it's just going to be great, especially if those guys get to keep it together. And there'll be some really good close racing if the bikes, they'll be all getting off it and having a laugh together about all the fun they've had, and I'm sure they'll be having a Red Bull beverage, Jack Miller style, at the end of it.
Yeah, I think that'll be a good thing. As I said earlier, that's coming up this weekend on SBS. We'll be showing that live on the Sunday. Their SBS on demand service online, which is a great service. You really just, I mean, you don't really need to subscribe to anything. If you want to watch, movies and and television series and great stuff and not pay for any of it, the SBS On Demand service is fantastic. Just the international movies, the award-winning movies are amazing, but you can also get quite a bit of motorsport on there, and especially Superbikes and the Australian Superbike Championship, and they will be televising that on SBS On Demand right over the weekend. So that's practice, qualifying, everything over the.
Not saying the megapixels will be the best or the definition will be the best, but if you don't, I won't throw the guy above me under the bus, but just do your research on Dr. Google, and it's amazing what a decent USB and a HDMI cable and a big screen TV that's smart TV, you can put all together and watch it on the big screen, and you'll have an absolute ball, whether it be Superbikes on SBS On Demand or maybe anything else that's on this weekend.
Yes, you can get there all sorts of things happening there. So okay, let's wrap it up with our Bathurst predictions. Pete, we got yours before. You think Anton De Pasquale? He's certainly the man to beat at the moment. He's certainly in good form. We've got Tyson Scully saying, "Can Whincup get a dream and anyone with him?" Yes, I think that I'm gonna, just for old times' sake, but I think that they will work doubly hard now that the championship is wrapped up. I think they will work doubly hard for both Jamie and for Craig as well. I think it would be really good for him to go out on that. To go out on that, and I'm sure that they'll work very hard to make that happen. So so my tip is Whincup and Lowndes. Stuart.
Boredom.
Boredom wins. Boredom wins.
I want more variation in the race cars before I'm even going to watch it. I will watch the S5000s. I will watch TCM, but frankly, the main class, they're all the same. They're all the same now.
They are. That's
a branding exercise of who wins, and frankly, it's boring. Bring back the GTR. Bring back the GTR.
Bring back the GTR. Bring back the Lotus Cortina.
Yes, isn't that what Touring Car Masters is about?
Yeah, well, yes.
Yeah, which is why the racing on TCM is more exciting.
Okay, if we're going to break this up and two people have made predictions, I want to throw this way out here because it relates to Brett's comments. How many years has Craig Lowndes got as a co-driver? Do you think he or the category wants him to? And secondly, how many years is Jamie Whincup going to be a co-driver?
Jamie's got quite a few years left in him. I think this might be. I think just because of the fact that they'll be hard pressed if Jamie's going to run next year, they've got to make the decision: do they get rid of Garth from alongside of Shane,
SVG,
or do they and they put Craig in there, or do they? Because Whincup is going to drive. I would imagine that Jamie would possibly move in and race with SVG, which would be interesting. That's if and he's the boss, so he can basically go where he wants to. But that would be interesting. But he's going to probably put himself wherever he gets the best chance of winning, and that'd have to be with Shane. Or whether he jumps in with the young fella and says, "Okay, well, I'm going to go there." But either way, they'll have to make a decision. Do they push Garth aside for so that Craig can run again next year, or does Craig step aside? And I think it's probably more likely that Craig might step aside now, which is another reason I think that it would be the perfect end for both of them, even though it's not the total end of Jamie's career. I think that it would be the perfect end, the perfect send-off for Jamie to get one and for Craig to get another one as well.
Has to be mentioned, you just touched on it, Brock Feeney was the quickest in Super 2s as well today, so you just have to mention his name. I caught that note.
And Garth Tander today in the co-driver session was pulling a lot of fastest laps.
Consistently,
He
can churn them out, can't he? He can churn them out.
Yeah, Mad Cow Mark does, as long as it's a Commodore or something like. Well, it's not really a Commodore because they don't. I mean, they're not even looking like this is
like one.
It's called Triple Eight Carbon Fibre. That's what it's called.
Well, Erebus have took the Holden badge. Even when Holden was the thing, they took the Holden badges off and said it's not a Holden. It's a supercar. It's a bespoke racing car that just is influenced by Holden.
Gen 2.
That's something that I was going to talk today about. As it's gone very quiet. No, Pete. If you saw anything, because you might have watched the whole thing today, I didn't watch the whole thing. They were talking about demonstration laps of the Gen 3 car over the weekend, and that seems to have gone
varieties. Both varieties too.
Yeah, it seems to have gone very quiet, Pete.
I heard that they were going to do it tomorrow morning.
Okay, so yeah, that'll be interesting because they look a lot more.
Yes, both cars.
Okay, good. Yeah, I remember. Along with Brett, I heard it's all gone. It's all gone quiet. I was very loud about it. Now it's all gone quiet, and they said they were going to have both cars out there.
Okay. Russell is saying it was good to see you on the weekend too, Russell, and yes, good to enjoy the great race. I think it's the good race now. I don't think it's the great race is the 12-hour now. The 12-hour is the great race. That's
before I throw it around to my great friends here around the room as well too for the other predictions. I'd liked parade laps. I think some of the highlights over the years, and if you have one to add to this before the other predictions go on, and it's on YouTube, you can see it. I think it's about a 3 or 4 minute video. One of the best parade laps, and of course, the beautiful man I interviewed down in Phillip Island earlier last year, Mr. Greg Murphy, who did the Lap of the Gods at Mount Panorama. Murph did a few parade laps, but put it through its paces massively. Triple Eight, one of the best things they've ever created was when they were doing some concept stuff about when there was talk of a 6-cylinder turboed version going to be entering supercars a couple of years ago. I can see Stuart's mind ticking over and looking it up right now. Triple Eight, one of the best things they've done is they grabbed a Commodore when Holden was still producing cars in Australia and had their name here, the Sandman wagon, and they put a V6 twin turbo in it, and it's not got that V8 sound, but I'm telling you, it's up there with it. It's a different kind of sound. They're up there with exhilarating. Watch the Triple Eight Sandman video when Greg Murphy absolutely punishes that wagon around Mount Panorama, gives it a nudge everywhere. He wasn't holding back. That's a really great video. That's something there. So I don't know of any other memorable moments that aren't related to the race, guys.
No, not really.
Okay, all right, there you go.
I'm a bit like Stuart in the way, it's far more interesting. So Stuart's brought it up there, so that's available
that is just a beast
on YouTube. So there it is. There it is. That's Mount Panorama. The V6 engine. He's just highlighting, and he's going to pop that in the.
Yeah, just lift that for yourself. Jump on YouTube.
We've lost you.
Oh, he fades back in. Lovely.
You can find it. It's there.
Yeah, it's brilliant.
It's out there. It's out there.
And you don't have to like that particular garden variety of flavour in your cup of tea of a morning of a particular car. Just watch it for its entertainment value. Full stop. It is a cracker. And then
I would have liked to have seen the TT36 doing those laps with its pink paint and the leather interior.
Anyway, you guys can go with your prediction.
The Tirana concept.
Yeah, the man pink Tirana concept from the motor show that we saw with the curtains that dropped down and
Oh, well, since I'm going, I'll just do my predictions quickly then. I am going for the slower. I think the slower Shell V-Power car will win. So
the Davisons?
Yes, I think he's the slower car, the one that doesn't go fast and is up the front all the time. I think that will win, in Shane Van Gispen's words. He's the slower car. And my dark horse is someone who has been knocking on the door all year when they've been able to race. He's tried to put it together. It's not like a Will Brown sort of problem where the wheel nut's not right or he's quit this race. This is holding him back. This guy's knocking on the door all the time. And you know what? It wouldn't surprise me he gets the cool drive car over the line. So Tim Slade's my dark horse. He's still up there as well.
They're going very, very well. They're going very, very well at the moment. The other dark horse that I think, especially if it does rain and all that, I keep an eye out for Nick Percat as well. I think Nick Percat.
He's won it
before. And he's very good in the rain. Richard, you got a pick?
SVG, but I think Waters is in there with a good chance.
Yeah, it's certainly open. I mean, you can make cases for all these people. Chris, you got a pick?
Oh, I think probably the sponsors.
Yes, motorsport is the winner. Football is the winner.
Super Cheap or Repco? Which one?
I'd go for Super Cheap, I think.
Dave, Sue, congratulations, by the way, Sue. A beautiful piece of guerrilla marketing that they're running at the moment. They've really done a fabulous, fabulous job there. Okay, guys, I think that's all we've got time for. We've got so much motorsport to wade through over the week. We'll be back next week to talk about all of it and then some. All the results, all the news from there, anything that comes up over the next week. Remember, if you couldn't get down to Phillip Island on the weekend, if you didn't get down to see Island Magic, was down there briefly with just a couple of cameras, locked off one, and until the batteries run out. The batteries are now I've worked out the batteries are now on my main camera now 14 years old, and they ain't lasting very long. So we got the
battery.
It's not bad for a battery. They've done very well, and they are not the original batteries too. They're the cheap, the generic aftermarkets. And they've lasted a really long time. Yeah, as Stuart's pointing out, they're probably the same sort of thing. They've lasted really well. Problem is they're still not cheap. So to get another set of them is certainly more than.
They're genuine Sawneys. They don't work in your Panama phonics.
Yeah. So
and you either get the reference or you should watch more cartoons.
All right.
If you're gonna wrap up, I just want to say to Richard's dad.
Yeah, Richard. Yeah, yes for your.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you,
Richard. Richard, if you're wondering why Richard left early from Isle of Magic, that's why he had a phone call, and so we didn't get to catch up last week. So our condolences to Richard and all his family.
Thank you.
Passing of his passing of his father earlier in the week on Sunday. Okay, everybody, and we'll see you all next week. So until we do see you there, as we say. So just very quickly, Maurice saying, a Wing Cup Lounge finale would be awesome. Or A1 and 2 Gisborne and Cananders. Okay, so we know where Morris's loyalties lie, but yes, I think it would be a great story. Okay, everybody, we'll see you next week on another edition of Full Course Yellow. And remember, go to the YouTube channel, like and subscribe, all that sort of stuff. It's very important to support us and watch all the stuff. Hopefully, a little bit later on in the week, we'll have more stuff from Isle of Magic as well when I get time to actually sit there and edit it. So, okay, we'll see you next week. See you later, everybody. Bye.
Happy Bathurst and have a